Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Facebook Live Tuesday. I'm Eileen Gottlieb, the Heart Healer, and I want to welcome you to the Sharing the Love with Young Living Essential Oils bi-monthly, or is that twice a month, Facebook Live broadcast. So we do one broadcast in the morning at 8:30 and one broadcast in the evening to do our best to accommodate everyone's schedules. So I hope that we have a few people joining us tonight so that it can be an interactive show, right? So I'm gonna just invite a few people and see what we can come up with. All right. So I would love to, let me just do a couple more things. Hold on one second. I love doing this. This is fun. All right. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about essential oils that bring an opportunity for emotional balance. And that's actually a real core need in terms of how we look at ourselves from a holistic perspective. In that ideal way of creating balance in who we're being, in our relationship with ourselves, with other people, with our lives, with our businesses, in all different aspects of our lives, right? So the last time we talked about essential oils that awaken the heart. So today we're going to talk about more about general emotional balance. This has been a subject very near and dear to my heart for many years. It is the core aspect of the work that I've offered as service to clients for over 24 years. So I love knowing that who we're being is all about our relationship with ourselves. And when we take into consideration who we are physically, how we are dealing with our emotions and what they are that are coming up for us, what we are doing with our thoughts and our spiritual connection, and how we feel energetically. These are all different aspects of the holistic model. And when they're all in balance, trust me when I say to you, we feel fabulous, right? Okay, so I have notes here so that I don't forget to share something with you. We're going to start with a brief introduction to essential oils for those in the group that perhaps do not are not familiar with essential oils. And if anyone has joined me, please make yourself known, because I'm not seeing any feed going on in my little computer thing here. And you all know me, I always have a challenge with technology. Oh, I need to stop saying that, don't I? Okay. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about an intro to essential oils, some holistic approaches to creating emotional balance, as well as essential oils to promote emotional balance. Yes, okay. So I have several oils that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to first talk about a little bit about the history of essential oils. So a little disclaimer first, and that is that the information in this Facebook Live broadcast is not intended to diagnose or treat, nor is it a replacement for your chosen path of medical care. Making choices about one's health care is very personal. Making conscious choices, to me, is like the greatest gift that we give ourselves, right? Okay, so, all right, what are essential oils? Essential oils are man's first medicine. They are the lifeblood of plants. And so really, I think I mentioned this the last time I did this intro, I don't know that they're really man's first medicine. I think that plants are man's first medicine. If we go back to cave-dwelling days and that part of our evolution, man, woman, the medicine person for the clan was the one who was taught by the person before them what plants had different beneficial effects for a person, whether it was a physical wound healing, whether it was to take care of a symptom in the body, none of which we're allowed to talk about now because of FDA rules and regulations. We can only talk about in a public forum about how essential oils can promote balance in different systems in the body. That's why we've languaged this conversation about bringing balance to the emotional well-being, right? So if we think about it in terms of plants being man's first medicine, the lifeblood of a plant is in those materials that our first human beings on this planet that had some consciousness were able to utilize to promote health and well-being. So we used plants back then to create poultices, to draw toxins out of the body. We used them to enhance wound healing. If someone had a stomach ache, they used them to brew a tea, you know, and the different parts of the plant had different therapeutic benefits. So as the lifeblood of a plant, what does the essential oil do? It cleanses, it oxygenates, it protects, it nourishes, and it heals. The essential oil in a plant is vital for the plant to grow, live, evolve, and adapt to its surroundings. Hi, Lisa. Do me a favor and type something so that I can actually see you because my feed is not moving. Can you do that for me so that I can see that people are here? It may be just that it's not working tonight, but I did see you give me a thumbs up and I thank you so much. But normally it tells me that people have joined. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Okay, perfect. All right, so going back to what are essential oils? So they're aromatic liquids derived from shrubs, flowers, trees, roots, bushes, seeds, leaves, fruit rinds. So really from every part of the plant, from the petal down to the roots. Some examples of oils that come from a shrub would be thyme. Frankincense comes from a tree. It's actually not even a true essential oil. It's a resin that is distilled, which comes from behind the bark of the tree. A bush, we have rose oil, also from the flower. Geranium comes from the leaves. Lavender comes from the flowers also. An example of an oil that comes from the root is ginger. From the seeds is cumin oil. And from the rind, our favorites, citrus, lemon, orange, lime, etc. All right. So then we move forward from really ancient man to around 2800 BC, and we come to the time of the ancient Egyptians. And the priests and the priestesses were the physicians in the community during that era, right? And they dispensed oil for healing purposes. And during that time, as most of us know, they also mastered the art of embalming. And essential oils were a very integral part of that embalming process. And to tell you how, or to represent how valuable essential oils were back then, if we go to the time of Christ, we know that frankincense, myrrh, and sandalwood were actually the three gifts to the Christ child by the wise men. They were so valuable that this is why they were gifted to someone that they valued in their community. And in King Tut's tomb, there were alabaster jars. Now we know that the wealthy Egyptians were entombed as their mummified remains, and all that they needed for their next journey was enclosed in the tomb with them. So there was food, there were slaves, there were all sorts of things that were there, everything from cooking vessels to very elaborate materials of gold, everything gilded. Well, there were alabaster jars that were filled with essential oil. And the way we know that is that the chemical constituency of the residue in the bottom of the jars shows us that there were essential oils there. So they were a very important part of that time of our evolution as human beings. And then we come a little bit farther into this, well, actually not this century, but the last century. And early 1900s, there was a French cosmetic chemist. His name was Maurice René Gattefossé, and he coined the term aromatherapy. And the story that I've heard and read is that he was in his lab working with chemicals, and something exploded and caught fire, and his arms received second and third degree burns. And he was working with the essential oil of lavender. So after he went to the dewy lawn and doused his arms so that the flames were out, he literally dunked his arms in vats of lavender oil, and he healed in the most amazing ways. And so we know that having lavender in the kitchen in case we do run into problems like this is really a wise choice. And I always have a bottle of lavender in the kitchen for that reason. It promotes balance in the skin that allows for all of the cellular structure to function at its optimum best. Okay. And then we go a little bit farther into the 1900s to 1939 to 45 during World War II, when Dr. John Valnet used essential oils on the battlefield to treat gangrene. This was essentially the restoration of aromatherapy in modern times. Our sisters and brothers in Europe have been using essential oils for many decades longer than we have in this country. And so how did Young Living essential oils, which are the wonderful therapeutic grade oils that we're going to be talking about tonight, how did that come about? So the short version of the story is Gary Young, who founded Young Living Essential Oils, in 1973 experienced a crippling logging accident. And this is a gentleman who is a man of the earth. He's a man's man, very physical, very active. And it took him over 2 years. And after a few suicide attempts, he realized he needed to still be in his body. So he was seeking out ways to heal. And so he went from the wheelchair to crutches to walking to running a half marathon by studying naturopathy and other healing modalities, but he still had pain. And so the story goes that he was seeking out ways to really promote more healing in his body. And he found essential oils. And so this began in 1992, Young Living Essential Oils, which basically is a company that started on the kitchen table, which is kind of cool. And so now we have essential oil farms all over the world. We have over millions of members all over the world, and the goal is to get essential oils into every household to support health and wellness among every family, which to me sounds like a really great idea. I've been using essential oils for 20 years. This will be 21 years. I love them. I have incorporated them into my day-to-day life in a really good way. I think that the way that I started was with 1 bottle of lavender after the woman who enrolled me did a presentation at a spiritual group that I was a part of. And I was hooked from that point forward. I started using Joy Essential Oil Blend, which is one of the oils we're going to talk about in just a moment, to stop using perfume, synthetic perfume. And so really the way I started using it was to think about the ingredients of the products that I was using that were toxic, and started to slowly, one product at a time, find a healthy alternative using essential oils, either do-it-yourself products or utilizing Young Living products. And that's how I got started. And I'm so grateful because I think that it has been a really integral part of how I've maintained health and wellness all these years. And I think I look really quite fabulous for 80 years old. Don't you agree? I'm kidding. All right. So 97% of the world's essential oils are adulterated. Now that's a frightening thought to me because our skin, our respiratory system, our gastrointestinal system, if you breathe it, if you apply it topically, if you ingest it, it's in the system floating around your bloodstream within minutes. So for me, it's really important that I have a very healthy, chemically proven that there's nothing toxic or adulterated in it, kind of a product that I'm choosing to use. I hope it's important to you too. All right, so the seed to seal process that's important here that Young Living is known for and which we are very proud of takes into consideration the soil that the plants are grown in, the quality of the seeds that those plants start from, that there are no pesticides, that the water source is pure, and that the distillation process is one that is so honoring of the plant and its life force that it gently gleans these oils from the different parts of the plants as we talked about in the beginning of our conversation. And so since there are no standards in the United States as yet, Young Living follows European standards. And so the Association French Normalization Organization Regulation is the international sets the international standards, and that's the standards that we follow. Okay, so one of the reasons that I love essential oils for emotional health and well-being and to promote that balance is their energy frequencies. So imagine this. The average body frequency when it's healthy is 62 to 68 hertz. If we drink a cup of coffee, it drops down to around 52 hertz and takes like 3 days to return to normal if you don't do something to help, right? If you breathe in an oil, an essential oil, it will return to that higher frequency in 21 seconds. Does that say something to you about the frequency of an essential oil and how powerful it is, right? But it has to be a good therapeutic grade oil. So a little bit of a thought. Disease begins at 58 hertz. The lower you go, the worse the disease is that the body experiences. So if we think about things just energetically, a healthy body is enhanced by different ways that we expose it to healthy frequencies. The higher the frequency, the more it increases the body's frequency, the more it supports us in promoting health and well-being on all of our body systems, okay? So in Europe, just a couple more things about application, and then we're gonna go into the oils that I wanted to share with you tonight. And if you have any questions, just type them in the feed, please. I'm happy to respond to them after I finish this part of it. Okay, so I mentioned that Europe has been utilizing essential oils in their day-to-day lives for decades, whereas we're much more within the last 20 years or so. Give or take a few more because Young Living is older than 20 years, and so say maybe 22, 23 years. So from the late 60s until 1990, all aromatic prescriptions in France filled by pharmacies were reimbursed by the government health system. That's how valuable they are to the French people. Their primary route of administration is orally. And so a doctor would give a prescription, you'd go to an essential oil pharmacy, they would fill it, you'd go home, you do your essential oils, mostly by mouth. Okay, in England, the primary route is to administer topically with massage. And in Germany, the primary route is by inhalation, where you take, like this is my sacred frankincense, where you breathe it, or you take a drop, activate it, and breathe. I love my sacred frankincense. If you want to apply it topically, you can apply it to an energy center. You can apply it to the heart. You can apply it to your wrists, to your throat. You can apply it to your skin. If you could see my skin really clearly, I'm actually using it to promote balance on some areas that were out of balance on my skin, which is here and here, here actually. It's reversed when I look in the screen. So there are a lot of different uses for essential oils and different ways that they promote a balance. So since the United States came into the aromatherapy situation much later than Europe, we benefit from their wisdom and knowledge, and we use all three routes of application, both orally, topically, as well as an inhalation. And so another way of using an essential oil as an inhalation is to use a diffuser. And there are all different kinds of diffusers. We won't talk about them tonight. Okay, so I want to take a look at my list here so that I don't forget which ones I want to share with you tonight. And I hope that you enjoy learning about a few more essential oils. Some of these are single oils, which means that they are one oil from one plant. Some of them are blends, which means that they are a combination of many single oils. One is not necessarily better than the other, but what I love about Young Living's blends are that the way that they're named kind of shares with you the story about why they were created and with what intention they were created with. Gary Young has an incredible nose, and he is so knowledgeable about the therapeutic benefits of essential oils that when he creates blends and puts a name to them, it's wonderful. It takes the guesswork out of it, right? If that makes sense. Okay, so emotional balance. The limbic system in the brain processes our emotions. The beauty about essential oils is that when we breathe them in, when we apply them topically, when we ingest them, as I mentioned before, they are in our bloodstream within minutes, less than 5 minutes. How do I know this? There was a study that was done where a heparin lock was inserted into someone's vein, and blood was drawn periodically after lavender essential oil was applied around the belly button. And it took only minutes, a few minutes, for them to pick up or detect the lavender in the blood. Why does it end up in the blood when it's applied topically? Well, our skin is not a barrier that's solid. Things are absorbed into it, which is something that's really important to pay attention to depending upon what you put, what kind of soaps you use, what kind of lotions you use, because the chemical toxins that are in them can be absorbed through the skin. Essential oils, their molecular structure is very similar to our blood structure, which is why they find their way to their most comfortable home, our bloodstream. Lifeblood of a plant, they find their way to our bloodstream. Makes sense to me. I hope it does to you. All right, so emotional balance. I love citrus oils. They're very affordable, and they are considered to be happy oils. So anytime you are around citrus oils, diffuse them, breathe them in. Applying them topically, you want to be careful because your skin can get very sensitive to the sun, so you don't want to apply a citrus oil when you're going to be in the sun unless you cover that part of your skin. But they're happy oils. So if you are looking to create a really nice emotional balance, if you're out of balance, diffuse citrus oils in your diffuser. Apply them to your feet or to a friend or family member's feet. So what are some of the citrus oils that I'm going to share with you? Well, Orange and lemon are easy ones, right? I love orange in the diffuser, especially if I'm going to do a group, because then I know who doesn't like the smell of an orange, right? I get the feel of the image of opening up a navel orange, right? And smelling that. It's so yummy, right? You can almost hear the rind kind of being pulled back and feel the juiciness of it. It's yummy. Okay, so orange, lime. Bergamot is another citrus that's a single oil. That one is also pressed from the rind or the peel and then distilled from that. Bergamot, if you're not familiar with it, is the distinctive flavor in Earl Grey tea. I did not realize that until I had done research about emotionally balancing oils. And so what are some of the ways of emotional balance that bergamot can offer us? So if you're really stressed, it can help to be relaxing or to de-stress when you have it on the diffuser. Lavender is another one. Lavender is described as an adaptogen. So an adaptogen, the root is to adapt, right? It helps us to adapt to life situations, but it also helps our cells to adapt to the internal environment. And when we're really stressed or we are out of balance emotionally, what happens is we produce chemicals that are circulating through our body that evoke that feeling of being stressed even more. And so lavender oil in particular, as an adaptogen, helps our cellular structure to become more balanced and to adapt to what's going on internally, as well as to help us to adapt to whatever the external forces are that are the source of our stress. So it's either an internal source of stress or an external source of stress, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, when we look at it from the holistic model. Another citrus is a blend called Citrus Fresh. I never remember all of the oils in it. So that's a blend that has orange, tangerine, lemon, mandarin, grapefruit, spearmint, and spearmint. So these are all of this single essential oils that are in the blend Citrus Fresh. And you can apply it to the body, or you can put it on the diffuser. Essential oils are volatile. I don't know that I mentioned that. And what that means is doesn't mean that they explode. It means that they evaporate at low temperatures. So you know how we used to use those little aromatherapy rings and put them on top of a light bulb? Don't do that with essential oils from Young Living. You're wasting them. Heat changes the chemical constituency. When you change the chemical constituency of an essential oil, you change the therapeutic benefit. And so cold mist ultrasonic diffusers are really the most wonderful ones. You use water, so you get microfine droplets of the essential oil into the air with a little bit of water. And down here in Florida, we use, we've got our air conditioning going, most of us, most of the year. And for all of you that are up north that have your heat going right now, it's really dry, right? So it puts a little bit of moisture in the air. Not a lot, but a little bit. Everything helps. All right, so these citrus oils can evoke a feeling of well-being. They can be relaxing and calming. And the more relaxed and at ease and calm we are, the more it implies an emotional balance. I hope that makes sense. All right, did I get all of our citruses? Yes. Okay, so another single oil, cedarwood, is also a very calming, stress-reducing kind of oil. It's high in sesquiterpenes, which means that it can stimulate that limbic region of the brain. If it's stimulated, we feel happy. So that's a way to, the happier we are, the more in emotional balance we are. So when we're going through issues of grief and grieving, trauma, stress, anything that is upsetting that emotional apple cart, so to speak. The essential oils like these that we're talking about tonight will help to bring us into more of a balance. All right, so that's cedar wood, and that's steam distilled from the bark. Lavender is steam distilled from the flowering top of the plant. Citrus fresh was all those single oils. Most of the citruses are from the rind. All right, a couple more because we are coming down to the end of our half hour. All right, so Christmas spirit. Don't we love Christmas and the smells of Christmas? I love Christmas smells, the fir and the cinnamon and orange. Well, Christmas spirit is a blend that has orange, cinnamon bark, spruce in that, and oh, it smells so yummy. I use it all year round because for me, the conifer in it gives me a real grounded feeling. And because it's not floral, anyone that's not loving the scent of flowers, this is a great blend to have in the house. So I rotate between orange and Christmas spirit, and I particularly love it on a cool day, but I can use it any day. All right, we talked about citrus fresh. Let's talk about a blend called Harmony. Now, think about that name and breathe it in. How does that feel hearing the word harmony? Does it feel balancing to you? Well, Harmony is the name of the blend that Gary Young created to evoke that feeling of harmony, of balance, of peace, right? And so this one has a lot of single oils in it. I'm just going to read them off really quickly and not tell you where they're from. Hyssop, spruce, lavender, geranium, frankincense, ylang ylang, which is always about creating a balance, sandalwood, angelica, rose oil, one of my favorites, bergamot, which we spoke about, palmarosa, Roman chamomile, rosewood, and that's those. All right, so again, it can promote a feeling of harmony on all levels. One drop on each of the energy centers, the main ones. So you've got your crown center, third eye, throat, heart. Solar plexus sits between the heart and the belly button. Just around the belly button is the sacral center, and the root is at the base of the spine. That kind of opens from the base of the spine between the legs and pulls energy up from the earth. And then we have minor energy centers, the lung points, liver, spleen. Liver's on the right side at the base of the rib cage. Spleen is on the left side around the bottom of the rib cage. And then all your joints, and you know, the ovaries and the gonads, but in all your joints. So wrists, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, fingers, all the joints in your fingers. All of these joints have energy centers. So if you just put them on the main seven, the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, root, it will be amazingly balancing, creating harmony. Okay, Stress Away is another really fabulous blend. Think of the name, Stress Away. So when we have, when we are out of balance emotionally, we generally feel stressed. Would you agree? Right? And so if we are using an oil that takes away stress, then it will more likely than not promote harmony and balance in the emotional system, right? So Stress Away is an unusual blend. I never remember all the oils, so I'm going to read it to you. So it has copaiba, which is a real woodsy, earthy smell. Lime, unusual, right? Cedarwood, vanilla, ocotea, which actually comes from the flower at the top of a tree in the jungle, and lavender. No, actually, I don't think there's lavender in this. I wonder if, I think I accidentally didn't delete this. Okay, I don't think there's lavender in Stress Away, because one of the reasons that I love it is for people that don't love lavender, it's a great alternative. So typo. All right, Stress Away is an unusual fragrance. And I think the citrus makes it such a happy oil that's in it, but the combination of all of them is really uplifting. A lot of people like it. And Joy is my last one that I want to share with you. Think of the feeling of joy, or breathe the feeling joy into your heart. Just take a moment, breathe it in. Joy. How does that feel to you? So this blend was named for that feeling, to help us to access our joy. And as we access our joy, then our emotional balance is more evident to us. Joy has a combination, that's a blend of bergamot, ylang-ylang, geranium, lemon, coriander, tangerine, jasmine, Roman chamomile, palmarosa, and rose. Joy, as I mentioned earlier, was my first essential oil that I used to change from synthetic perfumes to using essential oils. 1 drop on the wrist, and I would rub like this, and then go like this to put it on my neck, and a little in the décolleté area, and I was good to go. One thing that I love about Joy is that it lasts a bit longer than many oils. Remember, I said they're volatile, which means that their fragrance is going to disappear fairly quickly. So it's appropriate to have a repetitive application, either in a diffuser or topically, of these types of oils, especially when the goal is to promote emotional balance and well-being. But you don't need to use a lot of it, right? So less is more. I'm going to repeat that. Less is more. So some of these oils to you may seem very dear price-wise, and others very inexpensive, like the citruses, because it's more available. So you want to not waste them, right? Waste not, want not. So 1 drop topically and move it around. Use a carrier oil if you want to. Cold pressed organic oils, olive oil, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, coconut oil. These are types of carrier oils if you want to do a massage or just extend the amount of product that you are using. In a diffuser, I always invite people, especially if they're the ultrasonic ones, you fill your diffuser with water, add 2 to 3 drops of oil, no more than that, turn it on, walk out of the room and come back in again, because it's sometimes difficult to smell when you're in the room how strong it is. And so if you turn your diffuser on, step out of the room, come back in again, maybe in a minute or 2, you'll get more of an idea of how fragrant the essential oil is that you chose to use, and whether you want to add any more to it if you want a little bit of a stronger aroma. Again, add 1 drop of oil at a time until you achieve the level of aroma that pleases you, okay? But please remember, if you remember anything important tonight, less is more. Less is more. Okay. All right. I think that I have shared all of the oils that I wanted to share. Does anybody have any questions tonight? Please feel free to type them in on the thread here. If not, if you're watching this recording and you have a question, please just post your question as it comes up to you. I do check back. I get notifications every time someone posts with a previously recorded broadcast. All right, and if there aren't any questions, so I just want to also share with you that Young Living Essential Oils is a network marketing company. I've been an independent distributor for almost 21 years, I think it is at this point. And so if any of the oils are of interest to you to assist you in promoting emotional balance, and you would like to purchase them, there are a few different ways to do that. If you're a Young Living distributor, all you have to do is go into your virtual office, either add it to your Essential Rewards order or make a quick order. And it will be there as quickly as you have set up your postage for it. All right. If you are not a Young Living distributor and someone else other than me introduced you to Essential Oils and Young Living, please contact them and ask them to show you or to share with you how you can place an order. All right. If I'm the person that introduced you or you don't know anybody, it's my joy to share with you. So be in touch. You can either contact me through Facebook or give me a call at 561-602-1989 or send me an email at Ilene, I-L-E-N-E, at IleneGottlieb.com. All right. I think that's it. If there aren't any other questions, I am going to wish you all a fabulous rest of your evening. Let me just mention one other thing. For those of us that live in South Florida and that have children in school, and I know that this has made national, if not international news, what's been going on in our South Florida community in terms of trauma for our children. Essential oils are amazing in producing emotional balance and well-being. If you are looking for a natural remedy to support promoting emotional health and well-being for a loved one or a friend, please reach out to me. It is my joy to serve. Okay? So, from my heart to yours, thanks so much for sharing with me tonight, and have a good night. Blessings.